Well, when we came to Japan, we wanted to change something, and we realized that's what had to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So if we gave in, that would have meant not kind of accomplishing our mission.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did come to Japan saying every engineers should learn how to code in English. But we've kind of pivoted on that, and we do have a Japanese program now. We still the students still mix with the different the other English cohort as well. They work on projects together, but the two classes are taught in English and Japanese. So we've lowered the bar in that sense. We still make sure that students understand that they need to look at not just Kita, which is something like Stack Overflow for engineers here, so that they can read English and have a good understanding of it, not wait for someone to translate new technologies into Japanese magazines and books. So we do talk about the importance of it. We had an event last Saturday where mixed teams presented, and it was really awesome to see some speakers spoke in Japanese, some speakers spoke in English, but the fact that they came together talking, using one computer programming language to build something in a team was kind of a moment.
We also did the pivoting because ultimately, like, even we found a lot of Japanese people, spoke really good English, but, being able to do a really rigorous course in English in the second language is also difficult. And it's, like, our course is already so tough, and it just adds another layer of difficulty. And so, our Japanese course, even though like the lectures are delivered in Japanese, there's still quite a lot of English that's getting used. Like Kani said, they mix with the English speaking students. And I would say like most people I'd say almost nearly everyone in the Japanese language course, like they speak English, or they can at least read and write English to a certain extent. But yeah, most of them, they speak English just fine. I think it's still a little bit much more in the English course than in the Japanese course, but the Japanese course is also, picking up. I think it would still be like 70-30.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And it's we're just at the second immersive or the cohort with the Japanese class, and we it's about one third or so of the English program. But it's showing promise. It's growing according to our expectations, and we see a lot of interest in our funnel as well.
Yeah, and each class is growing, so at least we're not seeing like drops like we used to. I think also we are getting better with Japanese marketing. So we have someone helping us with it. We're focused a lot more on it. I think COVID was also a really nice wake-up call for us because, like not only were we not able to do events, but a large chunk of our student, kind of like our student demographic, foreigners coming in from overseas, they were cut off, right? So we had some students who were planning on doing Code Chrysalis, but then weren't able to come. So that made us really also double down as well on Japanese marketing. It was growing, it was happening much more organically. But I think with COVID, we have really made an effort to try to push that more. Yeah, we are definitely hiring. We're hiring for, digital marketer, Japanese first digital marketer. And then also what we realized that we needed was a copywriter, like a professional copywriter to help us translate not just like what we want to say, but like our ideas and like the culture and the energy. I think that's what was something that we really needed in our Japanese communication, because, we could have it translated sentence by sentence, but it just comes out as a lot stiffer and less natural. And then also, we're not a really formal company. Like, so having stuff in Keigo would also not maybe jive very well with the feel of our company. So trying to have the right tone in Japanese is really important to us.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the foundations program, which is a program, part-time program for beginners, we have a Japanese version of the foundations. But for students, we don't do it by default, but when students want to learn things in English too, we give them after the lesson's over, we give them the English collateral and the videos. So they actually, some of them are doing this, and they really enjoy kind of learning through both languages.
More or less, yes. So definitely like English teachers and ALTs, I think are like a big part of our student body. Um, and also like they're wonderful to have. Like, so what's great about our introduction to programming class is a lot of those instructors are actually like former English teachers. And so, we find that, most English teachers, they love teaching. They just don't love being English teachers because of, the system around them. And so, they come to become software engineers, but then, they're like, we still really like to teach. And so Foundations has been kind of an outlet for some of our English teachers, now software engineers, where they're like working as software engineers, full time. And then like once a week they come in and teach for us. And so it's a really great little relationship that we have with the English teacher like community here. And it's also been good for, the beginner class, because their teachers literally were in their shoes, not long ago. And so they're really seeing like the personification, I guess, of like their end goal, right? Teaching that class, someone who didn't know anything, learned how to code with a full-time job, and then did Code Chrysalis, and now we're working as software engineers. So yeah, then I think that's been a really, key demographic. Before COVID, and now even, but of course that market has gone down. Foreigners who want to move to Japan is also another large foreign segment that we target. Before, if you wanted to move to Japan, you either had to speak really great Japanese to be able to work, or there was English teaching, or for some people it was like being a recruiter, right? And so we wanted to present like a fourth sort of option for people, where you could be a software engineer. There's more and more companies, tech companies in Japan, that don't require Japanese, like any Japanese skill. So that's been a really attractive option. And also going back, there was another question. I think, Jeff, you had a question of like, did you ever doubt, like the things that you were doing because it was so niche? And I think what Kani and I always really believed in, like despite what other people told us sometimes, we really believed that this was something that Japan needed. And so even when we didn't have very many students, when we were just really struggling to get the company going, we still really believed in this, like, we are needed. The things that we are doing are needed here. We just really held strong to that. And one of the reasons was, we were seeing these tech companies with great engineering jobs, these like great software engineering jobs that were really similar in, to the jobs that software engineers would get in Silicon Valley. These were higher paying jobs, because the average, I think, software engineer in Japan makes very little money. I think starting it's like 3 to 4 million yen, which is just like really minimum wage in many ways, right? And then we were seeing these other companies paying globally competitive salaries, better places to work. You could wear a hoodie to work. It was a lot more laid back. Better working environments, higher, I think, standards for what software engineers should be able to do. And these companies were also complaining about not being able to find talent in Japan. They're like, we want to do things, we can't find the people, right? There are many reasons for this. Software engineers in Japan, you know, people in Japan typically just stay at a company for a long, long time, right? So the liquidity in the market for the engineering supply was very illiquid. Versus Silicon Valley, people are changing jobs every 2 to 3 years, right? As an engineer in the Valley, it's not exactly a good thing to stay at a company for a really long time, because it means you're getting rusty. You're not seeing new things. You're not being challenged as much. And so, you know, that the engineers that are here in Japan, they're usually kind of like locked up at a company and not available for hire. And we were also seeing, you know, these engineers who their titles were software engineer, but the things that they were doing were like much more low level, like kind of a lower skilled sort of engineering that, you know, we noticed. And we thought like, well, you know, you're lower skilled, you're also getting paid like 3 to 4 million yen. How about we train you up a little bit and get these higher paying jobs, right? We know that they're there. We know that you're here, like, you know, 3 months, we can get you there. And so we really believed in these things. Like, we were seeing it, and we were getting just enough results from our students, like our first few students, that really kept us going. Yeah, I think one of the students in our first class doubled her salary. You know, she was working in kind of like one of these like lower skilled engineering jobs, web development, and we were able to get her into a bit higher skilled job. And we saw that over and over again with people.